So underrated or overrated, the AI feature where it inside the Canon camera, it will signify if the photo is blurry or not, misfocus, and then it'll include that information in the metadata so that when you bring that into Lightroom or whatever your chosen editor is, it can begin to somewhat cull out your bad photos.
Sorry, I like that comment. It says, "Let's play a game. Guess what they're trying to say?"
Bad lip reading.
This is bad lip reading only. But yeah, all right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in with us and helping us out there. All right. So my point that I was making with the culling thing is I actually think that like the camera's ability to put in the metadata that this is a quote unquote bad photo is actually an underrated feature.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when we start talking about AI implementation into photography, this is the kind of stuff that I wanted to do. Don't take the creativity away from me, but if you can help me go from taking, I'll do a baseball game and walk away with, 5,000 photos.
Yeah.
Because you're just, trying to capture the motion. You're in high speed bursts. So you're just snapping away. And if the camera can tell me that's out of focus, or it can tell me, your shutter speed was a little slow, and then I can throw that in the Lightroom and it can kind of like using AI comb through my footage for me. That is actually something that is actually really helpful.
Super, super underrated.
Yeah.
Super
now,
underrated.
Granted, is that something that the camera has to do, or is that something that Lightroom will be able to do in just probably a software update?
Well, right now I am paying for an AI culling service that's like $30 a month. If Canon just puts it in the camera and it does it for me, I'm deleting that tomorrow or when the R5 Mark II comes up for me.
That
All
makes
right.
sense.
So now another AI, the AI autofocus. So I don't know if you've seen much on it.
I have. This is the one thing I've seen the most on.
The volleyball, the soccer, and the basketball. It is literally determining who has the ball based off of their body movement and joints to who to focus on. Yeah. Underrated or overrated?
I think that is incredibly underrated. And I think we're going to see more of this. Like when we talked at the beginning of this year and we were talking about features that we were going to see in cameras this year, we talked about AI. No, what the heck is going on? Sorry, we're getting all kinds of technical stuff happening here. But I think that the AI autofocus is not going to be I think we're going to see that all year. Like all year, we're going to just see different implementations of AI and autofocus, because aside from literally just editing the photo, autofocus is sort of the next thing that could help photographers the most, because getting a sharp image is very difficult for a lot of photographers. And even back in the DSLR days where you had to like get your spot, focus and then shift to recompose, focus and reshift to recompose, like that process made a lot of people's photos out of focus, and that made it look like a bad photo when it wasn't a bad photo. It was just not as sharp as it could be.
Now it's a good photo.
Now it's a great photo. Now
the blurry photo is great.
Yes. So now composition becomes everything, because if everybody has super sharp, I mean, how many of these A1s or R1s are we going to see at, NBA basketball games? Everything's going to be in focus.
Yeah.
So who has the best angle?
Oh, yeah.
It's getting wild.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
so
underrated.
I will say, same here. It felt like maybe a gimmick.
Yeah.
But when I watched Jared Polin and Manny Ortiz, R5 and R1, their predictive autofocus, gosh, it was sticky. It was it focused faster than you could look with your eye. It focused faster than you could get to the joystick on the player with the ball. It looks like the future.
Yeah.
And so Canon says it can go to many more cameras.
Well, I'm excited.
Or not many more cameras, many more sports.
Yeah.
So,
I want to get baseball soon. And I think what's going to be hard though, and what I'm really interested with the AI is what do they do with sports where you can't see the faces?
Yes.
Like
helmets,
cars, just different things where like you can't see faces or people are moving at crazy high speeds.
Or the ball's really small.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be harder.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't need it at tennis because there's two people.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be interesting to see. All right. So now coming off of AI, let's just talk about some of the features. Underrated, overrated. 8K 60 raw.
Overrated.
Overrated.
Yep.
Okay. 4K 120.
Overrated.
Oh, chat. We also want you to play. We're going a little fast, but we've talked about some of these features in the past. Even though they are specific to the Canon now, like I don't think that Brandon's going to change his answers.
Yeah, let me put it this way. I think that as far as like usable features that Brandon, will use on a regular basis, those are overrated.
Mm-hmm.
But could they have released the camera without those features? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
They would have been destroyed.
It would have been a step backwards.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the 45 megapixels CMOS stacked sensor?
I think that's an overrated or underrated, feature. I think that's a really good upgrade for them.
Yeah, you can't go backwards.
No.
You cannot have more rolling shutter.
Yeah.
Your readout speeds cannot be slower. I would agree. It is underrated. Maybe properly rated, but at least underrated.
Yeah.
That C-Log 2 60, if it is true, the C-Log 2 16 stops of dynamic range.
Massively underrated.
Yes.
Massively underrated. I think that could be a reason why some people, especially in the video space, actually upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
If you had an R5 and you're thinking about going to the R5 Mark II, I think the 16 stops of dynamic range C-Log 2 could be the deciding factor.
Absolutely. I've said it, but I'm believing it too. I do think that we have a new king of low light. We don't know what Sony's doing in the background, but right now, that ISO performance, because you kind of said this on the first part of the noise reduction in the photography, man, those high ISOs that they were shooting the videos on, it looked clean. It looked clean. It didn't look soft in the shadows. So I'm excited for that. Full-size HDMI, underrated, overrated.
Oh my gosh. First of all, I don't know who had to fight for that to put that in the cameras, but thank you, engineer at Canon. Good night. These micro or mini or whatever they had, crappy HDMIs that they had on their previous cameras, get out of here. Where are we?
Chat, let them know how much you wanted the full-size HDMI.
Like, dude, what were y'all even thinking with these little micro HDMIs? Like, I don't know how much space you were saving in the camera, but figure it out, bro.
Yeah,
But no, full-size HDMI, oh man, such a huge improvement.
And last but not least, eye control 2.0.
I am going to still say that is overrated.
Overrated.
Yes.
Until you see it?
No, I think the feature overall is overrated.
It's coming to the R5 and the R1.
Yeah, still overrated. I don't care. It's something that, like, I feel like it is a really cool gimmick, but it's like...
But if they figured it out?
I think their AI autofocus is going to work faster. I think they're going to get the AI autofocus working faster than the eye tracking.
But you can only use that in 3 sports right now.
I don't think it's... I mean, if it's good enough, maybe.
Okay.
But I think what we will see is AI autofocus will take over as the standard of autofocus. It won't be sports related anymore. It will just be like, oh, is this a portrait? AI autofocus for portraits.
I'm going to say overrated too. I'm excited for it to work because I don't want there to be any feature on a camera that's just a gimmick. So I'm excited for it to work. But for me, I actually love the touch drag on the back of the screen.
That is a good feature.
I love that even more than the joystick. So the reality is for me, and if you didn't know with your R6 or your R5 that you could literally put your finger on the screen as you're taking photos and just move your thumb around and just select your auto point, to me, I guess I'm just a little too old school.
You know, I think it's like having the actual control to be able to move your point around. But I can also say the reason why I say it's overrated is whenever I'm using the eye tracking thing, this is user error, so give me a break here, people. But there's so much going on that I find myself sometimes like looking around my frame for what I need to be taking a photo of.
Mm-hmm.
And when that moves the autofocus point accidentally, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And so where it is a really cool feature, and I think like if you are like a sports photographer who's like set up in one spot, your camera's on like a tripod or something, you just need to look around and like wait for the action to come into your frame. It could be cool,
Mm-hmm.
but like I mean, I've had the R3 now for 2 years now almost, and it's just a feature that like not only do I not find myself using it, but even though it doesn't work as good as I want it to work,
Mm-hmm.
I never find myself missing it.
Yeah.
Like there's sometimes when you buy something and you bought it to do a thing and you're like when it doesn't do that thing, you're like, "Oh man, this sucks." It doesn't do the thing that it's supposed to do and I don't even care.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. 100%. Well, I do think, like to me, kind of concluding up the R1 and R5 Mark II, Canon, you did an incredible job releasing two really great cameras. Probably going to buy one of them. Really excited about the R5 Mark II. But with all that being said, going to be looking forward to the real world stuff of it.